Welcome back, YouTubes. This is Game 3 of Splyce vs. Rogue, the epic conclusion to the mighty clash between 3rd seed Splyce and 5th seed Rogue. Let's get straight into the draft without any dilly-dallying. So we see a lot of changes coming into this draft, mainly because Rogue has now moved onto the red side of Summoner's Rift. You'll notice that Shen has not been banned. However, Qiyana has. So they've kept their Xayah and Gangplank. They still don't want the Splyce to play those. Pardon me. But they've added Qiyana. And they said, no first picking Qiyana today. None of that. And Splyce, interestingly, choose to ban away the Yuumi along the Aurelia and Aatrox. Now this Aurelia ban, I'm not really sure where it's coming from. There's something about Rogue that Aurelia scares Splyce with. Now, I don't know what it is. I don't know if Finn is an Aurelia one-trick, or if Larson is some hidden secret Aurelia god. But whatever it is, Splyce is saying, we don't want to deal with Aurelia. None of that. Because I don't want to deal with it. So I'm not really sure where it comes from. I don't think an Aurelia ban is needed. But then again, I haven't scrimmed Rogue and I have no idea what their really strong picks are. So Aurelia, Aatrox. The Aatrox ban isn't really surprising. They don't want to give it away for free. Finn is a good Aatrox. Aatrox is also really useful all the time. Finn was a one-trick Aurelia. Okay, there we are. See, Finn used to be Aurelia one-trick before we... There we go. So that makes sense. So they're just, again, another respect ban towards Finn. That's fine. Okay. Thank you, Twitch chat. So, Aurelia ban, Aatrox ban, Yuumi ban. But the Yuumi ban is interesting because it suggests that Splyce don't want to prioritize or pick Yuumi. Yeah. Which is surprising. It showcases that Norscarin can maybe only play certain type of supports. Maybe they're melee. Who knows? Anyway, Akali gets first picked by Splyce. No real surprise. Rogue immediately answered with Kai'Sa and Corki. Holy moly. What a duo. So Sejuani doesn't get picked here, surprisingly. I would have thought the Rogue would just snap up that Sejuani. But also, Olaf is open. Rogue still haven't locked it in. Also interesting. So I guess that's actually... So the reason why I think Rogue don't lock in the Sejuani is because they're like, Olaf is open. I don't want to play Sejuani into Olaf, because that's not fun. Splyce then lock in Akali and Gragas Braum. So Akali makes sense. The Gragas into Corki Kai'Sa. So Gragas, I think, is a strong early game jungler. I think it gives you a pretty powerful 2 versus 2 because you have quite a lot of burst early levels. I think you have good playmaking at 6. But against this duo with so much mobility, I'm surprised that they would prioritize Gragas. I guess trying to play Olaf into this duo is pretty hard, but they could have gotten a Sejuani here. And then maybe they're worried about... Maybe they're worried about an Olaf pick, but if they were that worried about an Olaf pick, why don't they ban it away? So I'm curious as to what the Gragas ban or pick is all about. How interesting. Well, in any case, Gragas, strong, early to mid-game jungler. I don't think he's useless late game, but like, you can make plays early. Like, his gank setups are good. He has good damage. And then they ran things out with the Braum rather than the AD carry. So they wanted to try and get Norscarin a comfort pick. But like, this priority in draft is already really confusing to me if you're Splyce. Because like... I feel like you could have just picked the Sejuani here. Sejuani Braum, look at that duo. It's so strong. And even against Kai'Sa Corki, like, it synergizes so well with Akali. I don't know. Anyway, Rogue lock in Rakan. I think Rakan is like fine into anything right now. So Kai'Sa Rakan, really strong duo, been played by like everyone on the planet. But again, jungler still up, Inspired's Olaf still up, and it's not banned. Silas is banned away. Splyce have this weird theory in this game that Silas is like OP. They first rotate it twice when they were on red side, and then they ban it now. And then they ban away the Sejuani. But they leave his Olaf open. And like, regardless of what you think of Olaf as a champion, like, Olaf is great into Gragas. And it's also Inspired's best champion. Like, what the hell? Do they really think Silas is like that broken? Like, I think Silas is strong, but I don't know. I have a lot of question marks right now in my head around Splyce's draft. In any case, Lucian and Shen are banned from Rogue. So the reason why the Lucian is banned, because they don't want a losing 2 versus 2, and with the Braum already locked in, Lucian is a really good pairing for it. So the Lucian ban makes sense. And the Shen ban is because they're afraid of Splyce having to pick a blind safe top laner. So Splyce pick... So Rogue ban Shen because it's something that they're pretty confident that Vizicachi will default to if he has to pick something blind. So it's a good ban. And then of course they first pick Olaf. Why wouldn't they? They need to get the jungler in, they can get counter pick for top. Does it make the most sense in this comp? Not really. They need a strong top laner that they can look to play around now. But in any case, you know you get priority mid because you have Corki against Akali, so you can set up counter jungling easily. And you also know that you have a pretty solid 2 versus 2 bot. It mainly depends on what the AD carry is. But you get counter pick top, so you're guaranteed a strong top side of the map once again. So they lock in Olaf. Splyce picked Tristana. Tristana Braum also very powerful all in. I think it's pretty solid against Kai'Sa Rakan because you can also buffer the W, so even if you get knocked up by Rakan, then you still live. And then Splyce have to pick Gnar because it's the only blind pick that they can go for. So then Rogue get themselves Kled, which is another huge comfort pick for Finn. So like Rogue draft heavily for comfort. It's also a carry top that you can actually play around, and it's really easy to dive with this duo. And you also have to keep out on Corki package as well. So I wouldn't be surprised, given that Rogue is on red side, to see some kind of invade happen, steal away all enemy top camps. Can Kled get an early push? I don't know. It all depends on whether or not Kled can get an early push against Gnar. If he can't, then they probably won't. But I still think the Olaf will start topside, because I think that these two want to get to lane sooner. In any case, scaling and team fighting is the TLDR of Rogue's comp. They can also split push. They have strong early game options, but again, it's all about Corki Kai'Sa. They have really powerful mid to late game spikes. They have good engage with Rakan and Kled. Pretty well rounded comp, very easy to execute. They have options if they fall behind early. They have lanes they can play through in the early game. The only thing is they have to be careful because Olaf is like giga useless later. Meanwhile for Splyce, they have a really strong mid jungle duo, but it's not stronger than Olaf. At 6, I think that these guys can win, but it'll be close. They do have a strong bot side of the map, so they can play through once again. So it looks like Splyce are going to continue their strategy of try and attack. Or at least from last game, they're going to continue the strategy of try and attack the bot lane, which is fine. But they want to look to set up dives, but they're not going to get prior on this lane. Their scaling is fine. I just think their scaling is better. If the Akali gets ahead, then you win on side really easily, because even Kled can't stop the Akali. So like Splyce have options. I don't think Splyce's draft is like terrible. Their team fighting is pretty solid too, but it depends how well they can use Mega Gnar. Yeah, it really depends. Okay, let's get into it. Oh, Olaf's going to start on blue. I mean, it's not, like, a terrible idea, because, you know, he wants mana. I just thought that he might try and attack topside for that Splyce, but fair enough. Notice, though, that there's a ward on the red buff from Splyce, because they think that Inspired could invade, because, you know, it's Olaf, and you get pushed in early. So bot 2v2 is going to lose the push, because Kai'Sa takes Q at level 1, which is a lot of wave clear, and we get to see that Kled doesn't get pushed top, so that's probably part of the reason why. So today I learned, meanwhile Olaf is just doing a full clear because he can, because he's Olaf. Look at how quickly he just juggernauts his way through the jungle. Will he look for a gank top? Will he just take the scuttle? Finn conscientious of a potential dive. Vizichachi force back. All in happens bot. Exhaust forced out from Vander. So both junglers have done a full clear, but look at how fast Inspired is. He's already done the Scuttle Crab, and now he's back to base. And he's on his way back out onto the map. So where will he look to gank is the question. He's pathing straight towards bot. It's quite interesting. Nope, never mind. What's he doing? What is Inspired? Oh, he's going to come for a lane gang top lane. Nope, no he's not. Now he's like, I gotta do my bot camps. And he's like, whoa, 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 jungle is top, be careful. And there he is. Good spot out. Yeah, see, so this is where Inspired... Oh, okay. I was going to say Inspired messed up here because he put... Like, when he reset, he just went on a really awkward path, right? Because notice how he came... He started in base, and then he paths bot, and there's nothing here, so he just kind of runs through his jungle for a while. And ultimately, all he does is, like... put a ward down. But like, this is a good example of Rogue not having the best early game plan. It's like he doesn't really know what he wants to be doing right now. He doesn't have a great idea of like what lane he can gank, or I mean, like, I think he's always thinking about it, right? What options does he have? But yeah, and then he forgets about his camps. So then Xerxes tries to sneak his way in for a gank mid. Realizes he can't, so he then steals away the rafters. He has push top, and he has a Kali nearby. But then Inspired, again, good awareness of what's going on, reacts by stealing away the enemy rafters. So it ends up being fine. Chachi. Okay. Finn gets 6 first, so he tries to force an all in. So remember we said Splyce wanted to try and play around their bot side of the map. They can't do that right now, whereas Rogue do have push in mid and they have push in bot because Humanoid's reset just came through. Meanwhile, Xerxes looks for a gank top because he can't do anything bot. He'll probably want to steal away some of these camps. And here comes the Akali. Can they dive this? Nope, they're going to keep the light top. Carbe TP's top as well. They really want to commit to this dive. It's super dangerous diving a Kled. He actually cancels his base, so he doesn't get to spend his gold. Just TP's top. So that wave is now just awkwardly sitting there. I wonder who it pushes towards. Looks like it actually pushes towards blue, but it might go, I can't tell. Okay, so now they've swapped lanes. Early Drake is gone, so there's no real reason for them to be bot side of the map anyway. Nothing too crazy has happened so far. We haven't really seen Xerxes play around this lane. Inspired will be spotted out. I thought Inspired would look to play around Finn a little bit more. Oh, that happened. When did Vizichachi burn his flash? In the dive, maybe? Oh, he's burned here, in the all-in. So Corki has package, he pushes in mid. So I talked a little bit in draft how Corki may look to roam once he has package at 8 minutes. Of course, because he swapped to bot, he now gets to make the roam play happen on that side of the map rather than on the top lane. But the general gist is there. So I like that. But again, I expected Inspired to play around his top laner more. No flash for Chachi, unfortunately for him. His ult doesn't connect to the Corki, so he ends up dying. Inspired and Finn top lane. Holy moly. This is crazy. Okay, so Larson ends up getting killed 1v1 here, I remember this. Which means that it's a lot harder now for Rogue to actually play for this. Wait. They just all in. How is Rogue so big brain? Right. Let's appreciate. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Finn has based and he's resetting top with his jungler. Okay? So notice that there is no Infernal Drake to play. Well, there's no Mountain Drake to play for, right? But Rift Herald spawns at 10 minutes. Now, Olaf is all about fast-paced gameplay, right? You want to keep the pace of the game high. You want to keep trying to play for objectives. You want to keep the tempo up, you know? That's an Olaf player, you know? And like Gragas plays like boom ba-dum, boom ba-dum, boom ba-ba-dum. But Olaf, no, he's like so Olaf, with that in mind, he's like, you know, we want to keep things going. We want to keep things going. Yep. We want to keep the dance beat all through the night. So in order to do that, they've got to play. They've got to play for the Rift Herald. So the Rift Herald is the next objective. Now that spawns in 20 seconds. So Olaf's like, yo, Finn, let's go top lane. Because he knows that Vizichachi doesn't have TP. So what you'll see is that Vizichachi, the expectation is that he just passed back towards bot. Because why wouldn't he, right? Because who's going to make a Rift Herald play at this time of the game, right? Meanwhile, Larson pushes in mid a little bit, and then he's starting to look for a roam up top. Now notice this control ward, this was premeditated. Rogue have been planning this for ages. Now the big mistake here is that Larson dies, which sucks. Okay? But it doesn't matter, it doesn't stop them, because Vizichachi is still bot. So this is still a 4 versus 4. So we get to see two things here. Number one, Finn once again showcases how selfless he is, but also how dangerous his playstyle is. Because he spends so much time not in lane and trying to help the rest of his team, that he falls very far behind. But because plays work, it ends up working out very nicely for Rogue, and it catches their opposition off guard so many times. Now again, you'll see that Akali goes back to mid lane. They're not expecting this 4-man dive to happen, but there's nothing they can do about it. You can't stop him from just sieging at you and killing you, because it's, you know, Kled. And then, because Larson's dead, he gets the TP back bot and actually catches, so it was all part of the plan, is what we're seeing. Rogue is playing 3D chess while the rest of us are playing checkers. Like, it's unbelievable. So then they get the Rift Herald. So Olaf's just like, here we go. He's like, you know, he's like, just keep going. You know? And then he goes straight for the Rift Herald. And then look, he wants to keep the play going. Well, now he's got a farm, right? So now it's like, you know, so the beat slows down a little bit. But he's got the Herald. That's all that matters. Rogue now sit with a 600 gold lead. And their comp outscales, well, I mean, it scales well. Does it outscale? Debatable. Probably. Oh, and what do? They go straight back to Drake! So they swap everything back. Well, they don't quite swap everything back. They send the duo mid, and they keep Kled top. And Humanoid is top. He doesn't have teleport either, because he TP'd back to top lane. Meanwhile, Vizichachi, the one guy that does have TP, they can't answer. Splyce is just being run around the map. They can't set up for anything. Rogue is ahead of all the players, but of course a large part of this is because they locked in the Olaf. You get default priority over so many things because of how much stronger than you are than the likes of a Gragas this early on. And you know, just as the beat slowed down, it's like back to Inspired. keeping the beat going. Bum 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 bum. Alright, Finn, let's car. What? Alright, this champion does broken damage. Alright. Look at it as well. Rogue already setting up for Baron. No, they're not. But I actually think that they're setting up a play towards top. But like this trade is all about setting up the potential for the plates. So Olaf should come and use Herald now, right? No? No Herald? Okay. So where will they use the Herald? Where, oh where will they use the Herald? Oh lo, look it's Herald, Mr. Herald. Gotta use it soon, bro. Back to mid lane they go. Pushes out bot. Look, in this window, they rotate up to mids. Here comes Herald. Nope, still no Herald. What are they playing for? Rogue, come on. Okay, they're going for top tower. Bump bum. Bang. Alright. Maybe it would have been better top mid lane, but whatever. Gives Finn more freedom to push out this wave and then rotate down. Meanwhile, Splyce is just getting dragged around the map. There's nothing they can do against this Olaf, who's so strong. He just doesn't care. So it's a lot of catching waves right now. Notice how Xerxes hasn't had an opportunity to play around his 2 versus 2. Like, at all. So, Drake spawning in another minute and a half. Wouldn't be surprised to see Rogue set up for that objective. So they just baller it down mid as they see Splyce on the side lanes. Damn. Spicy. What a great reset. Look at this. Let's appreciate this. So all of them reset. Woolites is a little bit delayed because he's catching this wave, but he should reset after this. Oh, he doesn't even reset so that he can maintain timer with the rest of his team. He actually just rotates round to mid. Meanwhile, everyone else who has reset. That was good from Woolite. Smart not to base. And then they just group up mid and siege. Because Akali's bot and Nara's top. So they get the final, well, not the final out of tower. This time to get bot tower, but well played. Splyce is trying to play side lanes. They almost get both towers. Would have been a worthwhile trade for Splyce, to be honest. Because then they can set up quite easily onto mid tower. Shumanoid's really strong now, though. You have to respect him because he has Gunblade. And now Drake is spawning. Let's see. Vishachi should push this wave and start rotating down. Tristana just TP's mid. Now they gain prio because the Nara's with them. They can group. Claire's going to keep pushing top. They realize they can't challenge for this. So they're going to get an early push in mid and then rotate to top themselves. Another great example of Rogue reading the map state and responding. So they end up trading top tower for Drake. Really good response from Rogue. I think that's the best thing you can do in that situation. Because Larson wasn't going to be in a position to contest. Splyce had the better map state to set up for the Drake. And rather than try and collapse and fight for it, they just trade. That's good. Again, this is something you just don't see a lot of teams around the world do. A lot of teams like SKT would fight you for that Drake. They would commit their TPs. They would challenge you. And they would 5v5 you. Because Drake is too important. They wouldn't just make that cross-map play. I can guarantee it. I'm actually so confident that SKT would fight you for that Drake. I reckon Team Liquid would do the same. I didn't want to commit their TP because Baron is spawning too. I don't think that's the reason. I just think that they didn't need to because now they have TPs like whenever they want. But I'm thinking about next plays now. Splyce want to secure mid tower. Rogue in an ideal world want to take bot tower, but it's like lower on the priority list. You can see that Splyce now, with like a couple more items coming through, feel a little bit stronger. So they're challenging Rogue a little bit more. But you'll notice how like Larson all the time only ever takes one wave and then rotates. He never overpushes, whereas Finn does overpush. He's always the one that's like pushing out side waves. Sucks that it cost Finn his flash there, and like you can just see how strong Humanoid is on a side. He's actually really strong. Rogue has to help out. Fortunately for them, Warlight still has TP, but they don't really want to send him off to a side lane because it's dangerous. Wait, what's going on? Oh, because we tried to... Okay, I know what tried to happen here. Doesn't matter. Okay, so they get pushed in mid, and now they're setting up for the Baron. Sure, they just want to keep clearing out the vision. You can see the Humanoid doing a great job of holding Finn there, especially without flash. Top has now been pushed slightly more. I like that as well. Splyce sent 4 members mid, which meant that there was an opportunity for Larson to push out top, and it gives him more time to base and reset. Visage actually is a little paranoid about where everyone is, but all of Rogue have reset. Ooh, Warlight's actually going to TP back to mid lane, so he can catch the wave. And now they force the engage. Here comes the Akali flank. Okay, do I think this fight was good? So Infernal has just spawned. All of Rogue are resetting because they want to set up for the Infernal. Splyce are in a better position because I actually don't think they did reset earlier, because notice how they have no vision right now. But they get push in bot, they get push in mid first, they gain priority. Given that they see the Akali bot, Rogue tried to force an engage, but they end up forcing it onto Braum. And in this choke point, his disengage is really strong along with Xerxes' barrel, so... You can understand the idea from Rogue, but I don't think it was a good idea. Because now they concede Infernal. And mid-tower. So good punish there from Splyce. Yeah, Rogue didn't have proper setup, and the map state wasn't in their favor. So whereas I was praising them before for trading objectives... Wait, what? Oh my god. Humanoid. So there's nothing he can do top. Notice that the rest of his team is now resetting. And he just walks up to Baron to get vision on it by himself when the rest of his team is nowhere near. He doesn't expect to get collapsed on, and he doesn't have his ulti or flash. Yeah, he doesn't have either of them. He's strolling. Well, of course Rogue now do Baron. It's 4v5. Oh, alright, let's slow this down. Burn. So this is something, look. So, Xerxes' E gets interrupted by the tentacle from Baron. So, you miss out on all that damage from Gragas' E and auto attack. Think of all that damage that could have come through. He would have killed them all. Larson lives because of it. He flashes out. I mean, like, admittedly, right, Finn just gets completely ignored, and he gets to dive onto the backline, and Kobe doesn't actually flash out of range of the hook. But, like, Xerxes here, that's actually just so unlucky. Look at it! Oh, that's so sad. Oh, that's so sad. Larson definitely would have died. I mean, they all just would have instantly died, and then they could have turned on to Finn. Kobe also has ult, by the way. He could just use it on Finn, but his focus is on killing everyone else rather than keeping himself alive. I mean, if that chain gets broken, then he's fine, but it doesn't. But because Larson Flash is there, that's like a really big deal. But Kobe does use his ult to find those executes, right? Yeah, he ults the Olaf, which I don't think he should have done personally. But there you go. Could have been a huge fight for Splyce. It was not. I mean, it was still to a degree a huge fight for Splyce, but it was not. Oh, Xerxes also didn't have his ulti up, which sucks. For bang. Yeah, the Gragas ulti not being up is really sadface.jpg as well. That was just Humanoid running it down though. Humanoid and Oscarian honestly had a terrible series. I'm really sad because I rated Humanoid really highly after the regular season. I felt like he became, well, I rated him the second best mid laner. He was popping off this split, in my opinion. Then they go straight back to Baron. Oh, the flank from Vanda! So, like, side waves become abandoned. Rogue is just like, let's just fight them. This is dangerous, but they're like, we've hit up item spikes, we're strong, let's just go. And then they clear out that vision, and then they find the perfect flank. Boom. And they immediately kill the Tristana. Beautifully played fight. And then the rave music kicks in, you know, it's like... Damn. Props to Rogue. They did some great stuff. Admittedly, Splyce, not the best series. Some players definitely not doing that great stuff. But Rogue, a lot of cool stuff. I liked a lot of what Rogue did. Very impressive. I do believe that they're very good at recognizing what's going on in the map right now and what they can and cannot do. It's very, very cool. I think that their early game planning needs work. I feel like that Inspired doesn't play around the correct lanes. I feel like Finn sacrifices a lot to help out his team, and there's a real risk of them getting punished for that. I think that there were opportunities in this series for Splyce to punish them, but of course Splyce also just played horrendously. So I think Rogue looks a lot better because of how poorly Splyce played, but at the same time, I also think that Rogue did have a great series themselves. Larson showcased some really impressive stuff. I felt like Vanda had, I think his most stand-up performance was the final game, to be honest. Wallite, for the most part, had a very solid series. There are a couple of questionable decisions from the side of Rogue, but their early game planning does need work. I think that they're not a flawless team. I think that their mid-game is really impressive, considering how young and how much of a rookie team this is. Like, their mid-game is better than, like, in my opinion, their mid-game is better than SKT's. Based on what we've seen. Now, admittedly, but, like, it's really important to recognize why I'm saying that. And it's because you've got to obviously understand that, like, Splyce's level up, like, I mean, to a degree, you could say that Splyce underperformed in the same way that Sandbox and Damwon underperformed, right? But what's really compelling is how Rogue look at the map and they sit there and go, okay, we can do this right now. And that's not something SKT would do. SKT go, okay, we want to play for Baron, so let's push mid, let's gain river control, let's go back to mid, let's now extend our vision a little bit deeper. Like, you have the manual and you like follow the manual, right? And like, to a degree, Rogue do that as well. However, there are these moments where they're like, oh, there's this really small window right now where we can actually do this thing, and then they pull it off. And like, a lot of top teams don't do that. And that's something that I think is like makes Rogue really special. And I think we got to see like semblances of it during the regular split, but I didn't expect them to be able to properly take advantage of it come playoffs. But then they do. And like, their win versus Splyce was very well deserved. I do think Splyce played terribly. I think that Norskaren and Humanoid had a really bad series. And like, I'm surprised by some of the draft decisions that Splyce made. Like, the high priority on Silas, they really, really valued that pick. They also were determined to ban away the Aurelia. The fact that they don't play Yuumi themselves. Like, a lot of stuff came into question, and I think like ultimately Rogue showcased a deeper, more diverse champion pool. They had much stronger mid game, which has historically been one of Splyce's biggest weaknesses, and I think that overall they played team fights very well. So props to Rogue. I look forward to like watching back Schalke and seeing what Schalke's early game planning is like, because I do think that if you have a really good early game plan against Rogue, I think there are ways in which you can just shut them down and you don't even allow them to get to a good mid-game state. And the question is, can Schalke do it? Fnatic and G2 100% can. Do I think Rogue will win the split? No. But considering these guys are rookies in their first ever split, to even get top 4 is a big achievement for them. And they definitely earned that. So props to Rogue. That was a fun series. I enjoyed that a lot. If you've been watching on the YouTubes, thank you very much. You can check out my other content. I do VOD reviews every week on twitch.tv/Vedius official. Coming into Worlds, I plan on releasing a couple of other cool content pieces talking about some of the major regions, what we can expect from them, how to rate them, their strengths and weaknesses, and some cool discussion things. So keep an eye out for those. But yeah, until then, I will see you next Monday, and thank you for watching.